All right, everyone, I think we'll get started here. Welcome to the seminar for new pipers and drummers and those new to competition. My name is Craig Matthews. I'm a director with the BC Pipers Association. And just to give you a little bit of background about myself, I started piping 12 years ago with the Robert Malcolm Memorial Pipe Band Organization. See, we have a couple here. And I went through that organization, and I now play with the Dalco Triumph Pipe Band, which is one of the great one bands in the BC Pipers organization. So hopefully over the next little while we can give you an introduction to competition, how to prepare and what to expect, and give a little bit of insight into how to make your piping and drumming experience better and things that not everyone knows about, and there's some valuable things. So we're going to start off with just talking about what to do prior to a competition. So I talked to a few of you already. How many have actually played in a competition before? So a few of you? All right. And how many are starting for the first time this spring? We have a couple. Okay. So I'm just going to talk about briefly about things prior to the competition day. So what we have here, I put up the BC Pipers Association website. For those who have never registered for a competition before, a few months prior to the competition, the registration forms will go onto the website and can be found in this area here, along with some news about the particular event. When those registrations are up, you feel free to register. It's important to keep in mind that the earlier you register, the later you play. So solo competitions usually take place in the morning, so if you'd like a little bit extra sleep in the morning, register early and you'll get to play later in the morning. Some people like that. If you'd like to play first, register late.
Yeah, if I can just add one thing. As the summertime goes on, all the different Highland games post their entry forms on the BCPA website. There's one particular game in particular, they cut off their entries really early in the summer. I've been caught on that before. I think it's Enum Claw in particular, but just monitor the website. Say, oh, the competition isn't for a couple of months, so I don't have to enter yet. Yes, you do, or you'll get caught. Okay, just a heads up on that. Because it can be really disappointing if you've just been too late getting your entry form in because the competition isn't for a long time to come yet. Okay, so.
And before we move much further, I guess I should introduce this gentleman here. This is Hal Senek. He is an adjudicator with the BC Pipers Association. He's also an instructor with the White Spot Pipe Band and has many experiences that he can share with you about piping and drumming. So it's great that he's here to share that information with us. So once after the registration takes place, the order of play is posted. I'm sure some of you have seen that for competitions before. That is done right here in the top of the website. And you can see that for today's knockouts, which are taking place this evening, the order of play has been posted, along with a schedule for the mini gatherings. So that's something you'll want to look at prior to the competition, a few days before it's posted. And you'll see the order that you're playing in and also the times of your events, so you can schedule your day accordingly. For drummers, finding a piper is always a bit of an experience. That's good when you have a sibling who plays. If you don't, make sure that you arrange to have a piper well in advance, because they will need to learn the music. So it's good to have a copy of the piping music with you, so that you can provide that to your piper. And if you can get into the habit of arranging a piper for a couple competitions, maybe for the season, if that works out, that's always a good way to to create a relationship with someone, so that you're familiar with each other, and that way you can rehearse a couple times before the competition takes place, and that just makes things more calm on the day. So when you get to the competition, you're good to go and familiar with each other. So what I did was talked with a few parents who had children go through the organization along with myself at the same time, and asked them for a few things that they would have liked to have known prior to starting competitions. And some of the responses were quite interesting, but I'll just go through a couple of them. Chairs. Most people forgot to bring, or didn't think of bringing chairs to an outdoor competition. It's quite a long day if you're staying for the solos and the pipe band competitions. Having chairs with you, it's a really good idea. You can put them under the band tents in some shade, because there sometimes aren't a lot of seating available. labeling all your uniform parts. It's amazing what goes missing after a first competition, and everything gets mixed up, and then you can reorganize with everyone else afterwards when you realize you have someone else's jacket and someone else's Glen. Even though during the summer weather should be quite warm, it's amazing how Scottish it can be at times. We'll go from the Victoria Highland Games or the Comox Highland Games where it's wet and very Scottish-like to the Seattle Games where it's extremely hot. So just being prepared that for all those different scenarios and having lots of water available and all of that. And as I just mentioned before, solo competitions do happen in the morning. It can start between 8 or 9 o'clock at most competitions. So keep that in mind that when you're getting to the games that it is an early start, and knowing the order of play and when your particular competition started is important. Some people mentioned that they had never thought about getting a Nexus card for the competitions that are just right across the border. Very helpful thing because you have no way of anticipating how long the border can be. So if you're just going to the Bellingham Games or the Skagit Valley Games, great thing to have so you can leave a little later in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, can I just interject on that? That one's great. How many folks actually have Nexus passes right now? I'm just going to relate because I'm in the course of applying for one myself. I'm sick of the border lineups just like everyone else is, and it can really get on your nerves. Really turn an otherwise pleasant day into a very unpleasant one. If you want to get a Nexus pass, apply now. There's a long waiting list. It takes up to 2 months before the preliminary approval is issued by the GOES people down in the States. American bureaucrats are just as slow as Canadian bureaucrats. So, and after that, you then have to schedule an appointment. So the whole process could take up to 3 months before you get your pass. So heads up, if it's in the back of your mind, it's only $50. It's not a big deal. But get it for the whole family. Everyone who's going to be a passenger in your car has to have one. So heads up.
And again, going back to just being calm for your competition, it's always a little bit of a rush if you're in a border lineup and it's a little bit longer, and then you get to the games and everyone's a little bit flustered, and then you're running to find your piper if you're a drummer. So having a Nexus, you can get there, you know what's happening, and it's a little bit calmer morning for everyone. So highly recommend doing that. It was one of the best things that I did when I was competing earlier on. So now I'll turn over to Hal, and he's going to speak from a judge's perspective of what to expect on the day of a competition, how to approach your solo competition, and he has some good information for you there.
Competitions, they can be really frightening. I competed for several decades. I started out competing as a young teenager and successfully at times, mostly unsuccessfully, but that's okay. A few things to keep in mind. I always like to think about competitions as two things. Number one, you're trying to win a prize. You're trying to play the best you can and to win a prize. That we're competitive people, we want to win. More importantly, though, is we want to develop our music. And our music and our friendships. That's, to me, the most enduring part of my competitive experience. I can't remember what prizes I won. Okay? People have forgotten what prizes I won. They don't care what prizes I won. I certainly cared at the time. And it is vitally important to care about how well you place. However, keeping that in mind, more important than anything, again, is the experience walking away at the end of the day, either with a medal or a trophy or some regrets about how you should have played better or could have played better, right? You always want to walk away at the end of the day feeling good about the way the day went. You want to feel good about your friendships. You always want to say congratulations to the winner. Stay friends with them. You're going to be friends with them for a long time. Somebody congratulates you, you say very graciously, thank you. All right? Important things to keep in mind, because these are the things that will stay with you all through your competition career. The day of the competition, again, can be sometimes a bit of a hair-raising experience, whether it's a nice sunny day or it's pouring rain, or you've been stuck at the border and you're scrambling and you're anxious and the whole family's yelling at each other and no one knows what's going on, right? Try to get there in advance. Get yourself well planted. First thing you do when you arrive at the competition, now this will apply today, whether it's an indoor competition or a big outdoor competition. First thing you do is you go over, you find the tent, or you find the secretary's area, wherever it may be. And you go in and you check in. Typically, they will, at that point, they will give you a number. They may have already mailed it to you, but first thing you got to do, check in, say, hi, here I am, stand in the lineup, and you'll get your number. And you'll just go over and double check the events, check as to where they're located, where's your platform. So now you're oriented. Okay, you check the schedule. Most Highland games, most competitions will have a schedule posted, either in advance or there on the field and at the tent. So you know when and where your competition are. So now you can relax, sort of relax, okay? So then it's up to yourself, of course, to give yourself your timing. Gee, when do I have to get my pipes out? If you're a drummer, so when should I get my pad out and practice, or when should I track down my piper and try to go with the tunes? That's a matter of timing. I'll give you a heads up. The most common error people make in competitions is they over-prepare. Your event doesn't start till 10:30. You should not be standing over there in the field at 8:15 blowing your guts out on your instrument. Don't do that, okay? I know we're all nervous and we want to sound our best, but do yourself a favor and just tune up for an appropriate period of time. Your pipes will be wet, you'll have all kinds of problems, you'll be more and more anxious than when you started. Trust me, okay? These things, by the way, come from experience. These are mistakes I've made too often. Okay, so I thought I might pass them on to you. Okay, now, here comes the competition time. Now, a few things to keep in mind. First of all, we're competitors. We're up there to play our best and to win a prize if we can. Something to keep in mind as the years go on, and a good teacher, a good instructor will emphasize this, but I want to emphasize it from an adjudicator's perspective as well. We're musicians. We are entertainers. We are playing entertaining music. So when all is said and done, when you finished your performance, you should have entertained A, the judge, B, your two parents who are sitting there in the audience, right? And the stewards, okay? It should be enjoyable for everybody. It's tough because you're nervous, you feel like throwing up, your stomach is in a knot, your hands are shaking. I appreciate exactly how you feel, but this is stuff that you can practice and get used to, okay? You've now got your instrument, and you walk up to the platform, and there's a judge sitting there looking very imposing, maybe a little bit grumpy, maybe a little bit cold. Generally, the judges try to be nice people. They'll look at you and say, good morning. Hi, your name is? Always let the judge know your name when you go up. Say, hi, I'm Joe Bloggs, okay? The judges are sitting there with this paper flying all around, and it just helps to reinforce, yes, I've got the right competitor with the right pre-printed sheet. You look at the judge, and the judge will say, okay, good morning, or whatever, and what's your tune? Okay, so try to remember the name of your tune, okay? Lots of times people will walk up to me and say, and they're petrified, absolutely petrified, and they can't remember the name of their tune. It's okay. The universe will not end, but this is the name of my tune, okay? Write it down, put a key score, okay?
Keeping your copy in your store.
Okay? You'll then stand up and you'll start your performance. Now, a couple of things about that. Again, we're talking about the entertainment value, okay? Not just the competition value. But when you stand up to play in a competition, the most important thing is to be prepared. Be prepared on all fronts, okay? Do not walk up to the boards with a tune that you just started working on last week. Don't do that, Okay? It's a recipe for a disaster. Pick tunes that are within your capability and that you're very, very familiar with. Okay? Your instructor will probably emphasize this, but again, pick tunes that you can play happily. Okay? So even if you're feeling a little nervous or things start to go wrong, you're still in command of what you're doing. Show up looking good, please. Okay? Again, we're entertainers. Polish your shoes. Press your kilt. Press your shirt. If you're going to wear a Glen, you don't have to wear a Glen or a whatever kind of hat. You don't have to. Make sure it's put on properly. Do not wear sunglasses during a performance. Okay? You're going to stand up, you're going to play your tune and stop, nod at the judge, and walk off. Okay? Things go wrong when you're competing. Something happens. Drone shuts off, or something goes wrong. You're playing the drum, the piper falls off the tune, or things happen, right? Or you fall off the tune. What the heck? It's happened to everybody many, 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 many times, especially in junior competition. Please keep going. I'm sitting here as a judge, and I'm actually getting a lot of pleasure out of listening to you play. Okay? The type of mistake that you've made, or you've missed a part, or you blew the ending of a tune, it doesn't matter. I want to hear you play. Okay? So even if you fall off, even if it was something and well, I'm not going to win a prize, I want to hear you play. Okay? Because I'm going to have some nice comments for you about what to take away from the experience. Okay? Senior level competitions, it's maybe a different game. But at a junior level, you're there for the experience. Okay? Not for the formalities. All right? So try to keep that in mind. All the things the judges look for, you're going to find as many different opinions as there are human beings who are judges. Every judge has a different style of recording comments. Some of them have a little shorthand. Most judges, I'm notorious for this, my handwriting is absolutely unreadable. I apologize. Okay? So much to say in so little time. And don't be afraid to walk up to the judge with the sheet. Okay, don't come up to me after the competition 3 hours later and say, what was the matter with my marks today? Bring me the sheet, and I'll translate it for you. Okay? Most judges are very, very approachable that way. Okay? Drummers and pipers. Oh yeah, I've got a daughter who's a drummer, and I've played for drummers and lots and stuff over the years. So, very often a problem. Okay, in families or whatever, you've got a drummer. You've got a piper, you've got the piper's got to play in this event, and the drummer's in this event, and the scheduling is just absolutely chaotic. Don't be afraid to go to the steward. Let them know, say, listen, we've got a scheduling problem, can you accommodate it? And the stewards will do their best. Okay?
Is everyone, sorry, just interject, is everyone familiar with stewards and who they are, those individuals?
Yeah.
No? Okay, so stewards are the ones who, besides the judge, they control the competition in the sense that they make sure that everyone plays in order. So as Hal said, after you've gone to the initial check-in tent, registration tent, to say that you're there, you check the schedule, you know what platform you're at, you then go to your steward who is at that platform. And they are wearing shirts that indicate steward on the back. They're clearly identified. And you say, hi, my name is Craig Matthews. I'm here to play in this event. I am here. So they will check you off so that they know you're here. You've got your number on. That's how they'll be able to identify you. So when you're playing, you're warming up near your platform, they can come to you and say, you're on in 3 people. They'll keep you informed. So, but they need to know who you are. So that's very important that you check in with them.
That is good point.
And make sure that you identify that you are actually there, because if you're not there, or if you are at the event but you don't check in, they will skip you. They will continue with the next person because they will assume that you're not there. So that's the important thing to do, and make sure you identify yourself.
Yeah, a lot of times, by the way, as you go to the competition areas, there's going to be platforms all over the place. It's going to be chaos and pandemonium. Figure out who your steward's going to be for a particular event. Sometimes it's not even clear. Ask around. Okay, platform 7 it said, okay, go towards platform 7, you'll track down a steward who's for that. Okay? Check in, Ask the steward what time the event's going to be starting, how long they anticipate. Stewards aren't perfect. The timing can sometimes go awry a little bit. Once you've checked in with your steward, sure, you go away to practice a little bit. Do not go 300 yards away. They've lost sight of you, you've lost sight of them. Everyone gets upset because he checked in, but he's not here. Okay, so stay within visual distance of where your platform is, okay? How are you doing your warm-up? Great. Okay, the competitions are done, the prizes have been announced. Now what happens? Okay, you won a prize of some description. Congratulations. Okay, normally you'll go to the tent to pick up your medals and your point sheets, by the way. Everyone goes over to the tents afterwards to get their point sheets, your comments. Okay? And like I said, some of them are quite expansive, some of them will be sometimes quite concise. Okay? But they're very useful to have. Now, over the course of the winter events and the summer events, the BCPA has, just about every piping association around does similar things. You want to win an aggregate. Okay? On a given day, there will be a formula for determining within that particular grade who did best on the day. That is the aggregate, okay, for a particular day. So each games will typically have an aggregate trophy, a keeper, or sometimes something fancy. I have to go and get a grade. Doesn't matter. And those are terrific to have. Then over the course of the summer, everything gets aggregated. Over the course of the season, okay, there's a whole bunch of sanctioned games by the BCPA and these mini gatherings that say, okay, over the course of the whole summer, who did the best? Okay, and that will be an aggregate that you can win. Okay, it's a rather arcane formula. I'm not even going to try to explain it to you. I do not have a degree in calculus. But anyway, the idea being that who does consistently best over the course of the year is going to win the aggregate at the end of the year. Okay? The aggregate accomplishes a few things. A, it gives you certainly a lot of pride in terms of promotions. At the end of the season, we have a grading committee in the BC Pipers Association that sits down at the end of the year. They said, okay, who won the aggregates, who did really well, who have been recommended by judges, because judges also in the course of a competition will make, and these are private documents, you don't see these ones, they'll make recommendations. This player is too good for this grade, they should be promoted. Or this player is below grade, they're in the wrong grade. Okay? At the end of the year, everyone gets their heads together, look at who won the aggregates and who did very well at all the various games, and decide on who's to be promoted up to the next grade after that.
And an important thing to note is that while we encourage you to go to as many games as you can attend, that if you're only able to go to 3 or 4 or just a couple, that is taken into account. So everything is recorded and the grading committee is able to look at that and see that at these competitions, at the ones that this individual was able to play at, that they won or they were placing very high. So they can look at that. So just because you don't necessarily win the aggregate at the end of the year because someone was able to attend all the competitions, that is taken into account for promoting.
Yep. Okay. How's the time here?
I can go on. Go on there.
Sure. You want to? Yeah. Just one more general comment. And again, especially for junior players, this is just something I'm going to suggest to you as a practice technique. Okay. When I'm teaching, every teacher has a different way of explaining things, but I like to use this analogy. We've spent all this time practicing on a tune. We're drawing a really nice picture, right? So if you're going to draw a nice picture, don't put it in a shabby frame, right? You want to display the picture properly. So that's the importance of showing up with your uniform looking good and just conducting yourself nicely on the platform. As a practice technique, I often suggest stand in front of a mirror at home in the course of practicing and just see, what does this look like when I'm standing here playing my instrument? Right? Does it look like I'm locked in a death grip with this instrument, or does it look like I'm having fun? Does it look okay? Start checking your posture, the way you're holding your instruments and all that stuff. Just how do you present it? It's a skill that has to be developed as well as just what's happening with your fingers, okay? I'll leave it with you, okay?
All right, perfect. Flip that over. So one thing I just wanted to talk about is the fact that in British Columbia and the BC Pipers organization or association, which goes from British Columbia to Washington to Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, we are very fortunate that we have some of the best pipers and drummers and pipe bands in the world. That is a fact. Sometimes we don't always recognize how exceptional our area of the world is. So I want to encourage you to take the opportunity to watch some of these professional players. They travel all across the world to Scotland, to other competitions to compete, to represent themselves, the BC Pipers Association, and they do very well at all these competitions. So for example, this evening we have the Knockout, which is the professional competition in the wintertime. We encourage you to come and to watch that, to see the professional players. We also have some amateur players who have been invited to compete. So you just get to see how they conduct themselves, the type of music that they are performing, and gain information from watching them. You all get to go into the knockouts. If you're competing today, you can come in and watch. It's free to you, so we do encourage you to come and take a look at that. So on that note, we have Scott Wood here today. He is one of the amateur players, top amateur players in North America. He has competed all around, been invited to invitational competitions, and he started at a young age, just like you, and has moved up through the ranks and has played at many prestigious events. So he's going to talk about his experience doing solos and what it's been like for him. So here's Scott Wood. I had a nice picture for you.
Hi everyone. Yes, my name is Scott Wood. I have competed at the top amateur competitions in North America. In October of this year, I played at the Nickel Brown Chalice competition in Albany, New York, and placed 4th overall. In November of 2011, I played at the George Sheriff Memorial competition in Hamilton, Ontario, and tied for 2nd, but unfortunately my fellow bandmate Alexander Sheely placed 2nd. He won because of the Pibroch tiebreaker. I began piping at the age of 9, and then my first instructor was Rory McBwain. My first solo competition, I played grade 5, slow air at the mini gathering, and placed 2nd. My first adjudicator was Shauna Hilder, and I now take lessons from her. Sorry, I haven't really prepared much today.
Any competition tips?
Some competition tips. As Hal said, no matter what happens in your competition, always finish. No matter if you make a mistake or you have a choke or your drone shut off, it's always rewarding to finish the competition and always get those comments, because you never know what the other competitors have done. Maybe somebody else made a mistake, or maybe somebody else's drone shut off. Always finish, and you always have those comments from the judge. And if you finish the tune, then it's beneficial to have those great comments. Some more competition tips. Ironing your uniform is important, and shining your shoes, shining your pipes as well.
Good breakfast?
Good breakfast, lots of nutrition, and lots of sleep. My friend said that. Anyway, I don't really have much else to add to what Hal said. Thank you very much, everybody. Good luck to all the competitors today, and I'm hoping to see you on the competition field. Thank you, Scott.
So one thing you didn't mention, I just wanted to have this picture up. This is Scott competing in Pipe Idol in Glasgow this past summer. Scott was invited to play at this event. It's put on by the National Piping Centre in Glasgow. and they invite young amateur players from all around the world to play in sort of like a American Idol type format where you play and one person moves on from each round and then you complete in a final. So Scott has had the opportunity through his solo competitions and his playing to perform at these events like that. And so as you move forward, you can have the opportunity to do things like that as well. So that's developing your playing, and those things happen. All right, so I wanted to just talk about a few things that aren't as well known, opportunities offered by the BC Pipers Association. The first one I think is extremely valuable, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware of it moving forward. It's a little bit further along the line for most of you, but there is an opportunity to earn high school credits through piping and drumming, and these are extremely valuable. There's 4 credits offered in grade 11 and 4 credits offered in grade 12. And if you're unaware about the education system in BC, 4 credits is equivalent to any academic course. So if you're taking math, if you're taking English, you have to, you earn 4 credits for that. So this is equivalent to an academic course. Usually extracurricular credits are only given for 2 credits. So these are extremely valuable that you can use, and it's a reward for your piping and drumming abilities. So these high school credits are attained through taking exams that are jointly certified by the Scottish Qualifications Authority and the Piping and Drumming Qualifications Board. So how that works is you take the exam, and I have here for grade 11, if you're doing piping, it's the SQA Level 4 certificate. And that is equivalent to a beginner who has been playing within a year to 18 months. So many of you will be approaching that time frame fairly soon. You're obviously quite a long way off from grade 11, most of you. So that is something just to keep in mind moving forward. It's not a difficult certificate to obtain, but the reward is extremely valuable. So that would be 4 credits in grade 11 for both piping and drumming. And for grade 12, for piping, it's level 5 of the SQA certificates, and for drumming, it's level 6. So for piping, that's within the first 2 years that you're starting to learn, and for drumming, it's within the first 5 years. So again, I just want to make sure that you're all aware of that. They are administered by certified instructors here. We have Jack Lee and Reed Maxwell, who administer those exams. They are then sent off to Scotland, where they are certified, and you receive a certificate. You would then take that certificate into your counselor in high school, and they would award you with the credits. Yes?
So just to clarify, do they take those now and then hold it like until they're in high school and then bring that in, or do they wait until?
You can take the exam whenever you're ready.
Okay.
So there's 3 parts to the exam. There's a maintenance part, a practical part, and a theoretical part. So again, like for the grade 11 one, it was just within a year to 18 months of starting to learn. So the material covered is not extremely difficult. You don't need to be a professional player to obtain it. I would say for the and anyone who's been competing in grade 4 for from the piping side of it would be able to obtain that grade 11 one. So you can take those exams whenever you're ready, and then once you are in grade 10, I would then recommend going to your counselor and presenting your certificate, and they would award you with 4 credits for grade 11. So then you can prepare moving forward how you want to use those 4 credits. Different schools offer different things, but you can then instead of taking one course, you can take another, so you're broadening your exposure in high school. So I think those are extremely valuable, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the first people to do that, and it was very beneficial. A couple other opportunities offered. There are 2 bursaries awarded by the BCPA twice annually, so 4 in total, 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. And the purpose of them is to provide a support to a piper and or a drummer to advance their playing at a piping or drumming summer/winter school. So we have going on right now is the Mastery Scottish Arts School, which is in Washington State. So a bursary could be for that. Or there's the Piping Hot Summer Drummer School, which takes place at the beginning of July. It's run by the Simon Fraser University Pipeman Organization. So the bursaries can be put towards that. The applications are on the BCPA website under the services tab. So you can go there and apply for one of those bursaries, and we encourage you to do that. And those schools, just in general, are a fantastic way of developing your playing. Some of the best pipers and drummers in the world attend those schools and are instructors, and it's a great way to develop your playing and play for people who you don't normally get to play for.
Oh, yeah, in terms of the bursaries, they're not, I've been on the board and stuff over the years and been privy to the determination of who gets the bursaries. Okay, without spilling beans or, spilling confidence, but these bursaries are not awarded on the basis of financial need. Okay? The term bursary sometimes implies financial hardship. It's not necessarily that. That's not what it's about. Okay, so it's a whole bunch of things. A lot of considerations come into play. So the application, just fill it out and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is why I'm having a lot of fun. And, give your pitch to the committee, and they'd be delighted to consider it. Okay, so don't feel constrained, as I said, as a financial issue. That's not what it's about. Okay.
And it's attending one of these schools is a great way to meet new people who are at your same level from all around the world. People fly in for especially the Piping Hot and the Mastery Scottish Arts. And so it's a great way to meet new people at your level who come from all different areas that you can stay in contact with. And as your playing develops and perhaps you're in a band that competes at the World Championships or gets to travel to another event, you will meet these people over and over again. So we highly recommend that you apply for those and attend those schools. And finally, for parents, we talked about stewarding. As I did mention, it can be a long day if you're there in the morning for solos and then for the pipe band competition in the afternoon. If you'd like to spend your time doing something, you can volunteer to steward. There's always coffee in the morning, so that encourages anyone. You can get in contact with with us about that on the BC Pipers website. And again, it's a great way just to be involved in the competition, just see what goes on a little bit behind the scenes. All right, so that's what we have for you today. Are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Yes?
You mentioned the timing for the order of play. Is it on the website now?
For-
Schedule, time for the schedule?
For today's event?
Yes.
Yes.
The timing's on there? I couldn't find the time.
Yes.
Yeah, it only went up a couple of days ago, the actual schedule of the events themselves. Typically, the order of the OOP, that's just the order of play. Here's the event, here's where you stand. Okay, you're playing seventh. Okay, that typically goes up earlier. The actual schedule of, this, grade 4 piping starts at 10:30, platform 7. Usually that, because of the logistics, doesn't get published typically for a day or two before the competition.
But I couldn't find it on the website, so where would I find that?
Yeah, so it's right here. So I took this off the website on Monday or Tuesday, so the schedule hadn't been posted yet. So you can see the order of play, it's right here, so that would be the order. The schedule is now up here, it's the 4th one, I believe. So I
printed mine off just last night. Okay, sometimes they're, again, because of the secretarial issues and, the logistics of putting these things together, sometimes they don't come up until fairly close to the date, so keep monitoring the website.
Especially for today, it's always up the day before, at the very least. But for today, with room assignments, it's a little bit more difficult, but it's usually up within the week prior to a competition in the summer, because that's a little easier to arrange the logistics.
Yeah, it's a good question, because I know how many years Portland is notorious for this. They wouldn't, your order of play, but you didn't know when your event started. So every competitor had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. And we're all standing there, well, your event starts at 11:30. Well, thank you very much. I could have slept in, So that, certainly the BCPA gets as active as they can and try to ensure that this stuff gets published. But again, it's up to the individual games committees ultimately as to how they manage that part, okay?
Yes.
The qualification exam, do they for the tenor drummers as well as the snares, or is it both?
I'm not sure about tenor drumming. I know slide drumming is definitely there. I think there is, where Rob was saying, yes, there is. So there is tenor drumming. That would be offered through the same organizations. it comes under the drumming. I've got the drumming syllabus here, if you'd like to take a look afterwards. I've got for the two ones for grade 11, so if you'd like to see what's involved in those. Anything else?
Yeah, if I could just reiterate your sales pitch about stewarding. It can be a lot of fun. I've actually stewarded from time to time, you know, over the years, and it's actually a lot of fun. Instead of sitting on the sidelines, you're right in the middle of things and helping the whole system to work. You know, again, just through my own anecdotal experiences, you know, with the White Spot organization, you know, one by one, you know, we've got a few parents in and gotten where they've developed into some of the real ringleaders in the stewarding business, and it's like I said, it can be a lot of fun. Okay, so yeah, give it some serious thought about that. You can always talk with Lynn Bullish. She's our chief steward. You'll see her barreling up and down today and yelling at people and telling them to get their platforms moving. It's great. It can be a lot of fun. That way you get to meet the kids too, meet a lot of the other parents and all that. So anyway, I would reiterate that consideration. Okay?
That's good. Yes?
More confident question. I found this quite helpful. I was wondering if you can almost put a section up on the iterate, competing or ideas or suggestions, and just, you're competing, what do I need to do? Bring a chair, arrive early, get an access card, all the hits you give them, put it on the website.
Sure,
So we can use it, and even just, you're competing, don't overperform, don't overplay, don't get ready too early, like just, it doesn't have to be fancy bullet points, but it's nice to go back, because I've got some notes, I'm sure we go, and yeah, there's something nice said, but what was it? And you forget, but if there's just sort of a cheat sheet you get print off, it's also your packing list. Don't forget your sporn.
Sure, we've got all the, we'll put that up for you.
I think Inverness Cape should go on that list as well.
Yeah.
Surprise! Yeah, just Inverness Capes. There's really cheap ones out there. Don't invest in a really cheap one. I know they're a little pricey, but boy, they're sure worth it.
Just like that Nexus card.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right, so if there's no more questions, I will just say that on the BC Pipers website, we do have a contact us section. The email is comments@bcpipers.org. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to send us an email and it will be directed to the appropriate person and we will get back to you. And Robbie had something to say.
Craig, there was just a little note where you had volunteer hours. I think that's probably worth speaking to for a lot of the players, because there's a lot of valuable stuff that the association does.
Along with the high school credits, sometimes you're required to have volunteer hours in high school or even in middle school, depending how they change the system. So there are opportunities through the BC Pipers for the students to help out, and we are more than willing to provide you with a reference for that so that you get your hours. Sound good? All right, thank you for coming, and for those competing today, good luck, and we hope to see you in the knockouts tonight.